I'm 25 years old, I'm married, I've been working 6 years, went to college for a year, I got a little family, and I'm behind on my big mouth promises, not feeling that good about myself, working hard, trying to make it go, but falling a little behind. Creditors calling once in a while saying, you told us the check was in the mail. I'm embarrassed by all of that. Then the final story, I hear a knock on my door one day, and I go to the door, and there's a little girl about this tall selling Girl Scout cookies. And she gave me the big pitch on Girl Scout cookies. Finest organization in the world. Got these cookies, only $2. Support the Girl Scouts. No problem, I wanted to. And with a big smile, she politely asked me to buy. I did want to buy. Big problem, I didn't have $2 in my pocket. So I thought, I can't tell her that. So I thought, well, next best, I lied to her. And I said, look, I've already bought lots of Girl Scout cookies. I've still got plenty in the house that we haven't eaten yet. She said, well, that's wonderful, thank you very much, and she leaves. When she leaves, I say to myself, I don't want to live like this anymore. I mean, how low can you get lying to a Girl Scout? I mean, that's as low as it gets. So I promised myself that day it would never happen again. So I started searching for opportunity. Very quickly met another man who drastically changed the course of my life. His name was Mr. Earl Shoaff. You that have listened to my cassettes and read the books or are acquainted with my material know the name Mr. Earl Shoaff. He's the one that introduced me to health and nutrition as a product. I'd been practicing it, for a long, long time, thanks to my mother. One of those great influences in my life, my mother, who studied and practiced health and nutrition. So I've been healthy all my life. Needed to lose a few pounds, or gain a few pounds when I found Herbalife. I've been skinny all my life. In high school, I turned sideways. They called me absent. I was skinny. But sure enough, I get a hold of Herbalife, gain those extra pounds that have served me so well now to travel the world. So my mama was a great influence on my life. My father, let me give you my father's seminar in 2 sentences. Here it is. Always do more than you get paid for. This is from my father. Always do more than you get paid for to make an investment in your future. That seminar worked so well with Herbalife. Getting a customer may be fairly easy. Getting someone to buy, getting them to use the product a little more difficult. You've heard me tell the story. You call Mary, say, Mary, how are you doing? Mary says, I'm not losing weight. You say, that's impossible. She said, I tell you, I'm standing on the scales right now, and I'm not losing weight. And you have to say, Mary, the product doesn't work while you're standing on the scales. Or whatever you can think of. She says, no, it's not going to work for me. And you say, Mary, what day is it? She says, it's Friday. And you say, I forgot to tell you, this product works better on the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, people lose weight like crazy. Come on, Mary, use the product. And she finally says, okay, I'll start using the product. That's called the work after the sale. So if you do more than you get paid for, especially in Herbalife, it's the testimonials that drive the business. So do that extra work. The work to sell, yes, but then the work to get somebody to use the product. Mark's major goal was not to sell Herbalife. Mark's major goal was to get people to use Herbalife. Herbalife wasn't started with a sale. Mark got his grandmother to use the product. He didn't sell it to her. You got to be pretty tough to collect money from your grandmother, right? So Mark gave the product to his grandmother. So make this note now, Herbalife was started with a gift. But Mark was certain that if his grandmother used the product, she'd have great results, and that's exactly what happened. And the results that she got and her testimonial quickly got Mark 25 more customers. So, my My father's advice was good. My mother said study and practice health and nutrition. Then I meet this extraordinary man, Mr. Earl Shoaff. He's the one that introduced me to health and nutrition as a product and a business. And then he's the one that started giving me that early philosophy that I shared with Mark when I met him when he was 19. For things to change, you've got to change. For things to get better, it's not what happens that determines your future. It's what you do about what happens. Direction determines destination. All you got to do is make a little change in direction to arrive at a brand new destination in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I learned all that incredible philosophy from this unique man, Mr. Earl Shoaff. Became a distributor of health and nutrition, age 25, started part-time. Here was my first goal, to earn as much money part-time as I was making on my full-time job. So make this note now for this day's wrapping up information. Here it is. The magic of being part-time. Way back in those early days, if I'd put an ad in the paper and somebody'd call and say, I'm out of a job, what have you got? I'd say, look, get a job and call me. The business I've got works better part-time. Here's why. Part-time, the extra money you earn can greatly change your lifestyle, and a change of lifestyle is a great recruiting tool. So show people the value of part-time. Then my mentor taught me if I started part-time, I could have a great testimonial that went like this. I'm working full-time on my job, and I'm now working part-time on my fortune. It's so exciting to go to work part-time on your fortune. Yes, it's fun to make a little extra money. Yes, change your lifestyle. But I developed a whole new philosophy. That's why within less than 6 months, I was making more money part-time than I was making on my full-time job. Here was my next goal, to make twice as much money part-time as I was making on my full-time job. I reached that in less than 1 year. Now I've got an incredible story. I found this unique opportunity. I'm part-time, but I'm making twice as much money part-time as I'm making on my full-time job. I'm then still reluctant to go full-time because I didn't want to give up this incredible story. Finally, it only made sense to go full-time. And then the skills I learned during that period. I was a distributor for 7 years, finally became an executive of the company, took the product from America to Canada. But those people who walked into my life, from my mother and my father and the little Girl Scout and Mr. Earl Shoaff. And then after I came back from Canada, having made my fortune, moved to Beverly Hills with my family, I'm doing a seminar telling my story one day in Los Angeles, California, and in my audience walks a young man, 19 years old, and his name is Mark Hughes. Now let me tell you the big impact Mark Hughes had on my life. Make this note now. Mark Hughes, during the time he knew Jim Rohn, Mark Hughes taught me much more than I taught him. I knew him from age 19 to age 44. It's true, I was his first mentor. I shared with Mark my experience as a health and nutrition distributor, starting at the bottom and going to the top. I shared with him what I thought about this type of marketing, person to person. And I'm sure Mark used some of that when he put the products together, started the company in 1980. So I was a bit of a counselor to Mark Hughes, his first mentor. When he attended my seminar, I started sharing those ideas of personal development. When Mark sat in that first seminar, here's what I shared. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. If you just remain how you are, you'll always have what you've got. But if you're willing to make changes, the next 5 years of your life can be totally different than the last 5. If you don't change, chances are excellent the next 5 will be like the last 5. Those philosophies I shared with Mark. Once in a while in his testimonial, here's what he used to say. Jim Rohn was the first person that gave me the idea that in spite of my background and poor circumstances and lack of education, in spite of all of that, I could make changes and become successful. Jim Rohn was the first person. You can't imagine how that made me feel. Not only all those years, but all these years. The three major influences in the life of Mark Hughes. Three major influences in the life of Mark Hughes. First was health and nutrition. Second, person-to-person marketing. And I told the group on Thursday the incredible numbers that Mark achieved by the time he died 2.5 years ago. Some of the most staggering numbers you will ever hear. The wealth he created for the distributors, what he created for his family, what he created in the industry, what he created for Herbalife as a company. The numbers are absolutely staggering. I've got those numbers. I take them with me everywhere I go. The little paper that I gave those numbers to the group on Thursday. This little piece of paper now is just almost worn out. When Mark died, I asked for these numbers. They're startling. This is why Michael Johnson joined the company. This is why we've got this incredible staff now headed for the future. These numbers Mark created. And if you know somebody that was in the meeting on Thursday, that unique group that qualified for Thursday, if you know somebody that was in that group, and if you treat them with great respect, they will probably share with you these numbers. Then the third major influence in the life of Mark Hughes, I was happy to bring this idea. Here's what it's called, simply personal development. In that first seminar, here's what I shared with Mark. We get paid for bringing value to the marketplace. You don't have to work on the marketplace, you only have to work on yourself to become more valuable and learn the skills. Let me give you a list of those skills that I learned that you can learn in Herbalife that can change your life. Here they are. Number one, getting customers. Age 25, I knew how to milk cows, didn't pay very well. Then my life started to change. Health and nutrition. The product I sold was similar to Formula 1, Formula 2, Herbalife. Protein wafers to snack on all day long, help you lose weight. Getting customers. First skill I learned besides milking cows, and it helped to change my life, starting part-time. Next skill I learned, finding good people. You just have to search. If you search, what? You will find. Finding is reserved for the searchers, not for the hopers, not for those who wish, but for those who search. And you've had enough information here already today to go back and increase your skill and ability to search until you find good people. The third skill I learned was how to organize, getting people to work together. If you want to become wealthy, this is one of the most important skills. An ancient scripture says, if two or three agree on a common purpose, nothing is impossible. I'll give you time to write that down, translate it in Spanish and whatever other language is going on here today. Here's what it says. If two or three agree on a common purpose, nothing is impossible. That's part of the miracle of Herbalife and how we have this many here today. We're going to do this again in Paris. We're going to do it again in where? Singapore, around the world. If two or three agree, the power of just 2 or 3 doesn't need to be 2 or 3,000 to start. Doesn't need to be 200,000 or 300,000 to start. Just 2 or 3 who agree.